my love for 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 my it's another year I see free.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Dreamer Talks. This is your host 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐿 Jr. Today I'm joined by Aaron Borroughs. Today we are here on location here at Homemade Fitness in Pennsylvania. I'm so excited to be here, Aaron. Appreciate you for having me.
Thank you for having us. Yeah, appreciate it.
Really excited about this, bro. Been kind of watching what you've been doing, what you've been building here. First question in the interview, we always start it like this, is just tell me your definition of success.
So my definition of success is not only having the freedom to do what you want to do and also carry out your passion on a daily basis, but also the ability to have a call and control over your life and your passion and what you want to do exactly with it. At the end of the day, when I was working my corporate jobs and I was working within the space, I was still doing fitness, I was still doing sports performance, I was still helping people, but now I get to do that on my own accord without all the extras that come with it. And also, a big thing for me has been value and what I can bring to people. And again, my gift is bringing people value through fitness and nutrition and health. So now that I'm able to do that on my own accord, I've been enjoying every second of it.
That's dope. So pretty much your passion, you know that your purpose is in helping people and things like that, and that's what pretty much propelled you to create Homemade Fitness.
Yep, exactly.
So when did you know that it was time to start Homemade Fitness?
So it all started with a conversation I had in the mall with my sister. We were walking through the King of Prussia Mall, and she's, in the mindset of, self-employment and following her passion as well. Right. And I was discussing with her, hey, I really think it would be a cool idea to train people in their homes, be that mobile trainer just to accommodate people, right? And she said, hey, it's not a bad idea. Feel it out. There's a lot of things.
Now, what year was this?
This was 2018.
Okay.
About 2018.
Gotcha.
Again, all started as a conversation. She said, look, give it a shot, write it down on paper. She was always telling me that from then and still continues to do so to this day. She said, write it on paper. And I've been doing it, writing down plans. And I launched it officially in 2019. So shortly after, about 6 months after we had that talk. Wow. And, the rest is history, they say.
So a conversation pretty much started all of this.
Yes.
Wow. So I guess my question then becomes, it was your sister that pretty much had you do this, right? It was your sister that pretty much planted the seed.
Yeah, she was definitely that launching pad.
Okay, so from that moment when she planted the seed and you started writing it down, walk me through that process where you actually like, okay, I'm actually writing this stuff down. I know that my purpose is in helping people. I know that I enjoy fitness and I want to help people through fitness. Yeah. Walk me through that process where you're writing things down and everything like that.
So when I was at my previous job, working as a fitness coach, I was in the mindset of making my way out. So at that point, it's not that I completely neglected my work at that employer, but I had my little booklet with me and I was writing down ideas, going from, business one-on-one, what do I need to have in place, from communication standpoint, from professional to client, even to the, of course, structure of the business. Right. And then also, another thing that I really focused on was, again, just having a foundation. I don't want to come into it blind, so I did all the studying I needed to do. And at this point, I was already starting to market for my business. Okay. The company saw that, and I was left with that ultimatum, stay or leave. Yeah. And of course, with the mindset I was at, I decided to move forward. So the whole time I was, this was during the pandemic, at the peak of the pandemic. I was doing that, what I like to call the book of life, right? Where I had all my thoughts, all my ideas.
I can imagine. Wait, I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no
that
problem.
Has to be difficult because I feel like you're breezing up, but you're in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah.
You have this goal, this dream of creating homemade fitness for yourself. You're already working somewhere. Right. And then your employer pretty much hits you with an ultimatum of stay or go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't want to say guarantee, but one is a guarantee, one isn't.
Exactly.
What's that decision like? Because I can imagine that being difficult, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It was, but for me, at the end of the day, like I said, I knew in my heart that my intentions were pure, right? I knew I wasn't getting into it to try to wipe out somebody else from business or to steal clientele or customers from somebody else. I knew that at the end of the day, I'm a big believer in that there's so many people out there you can reach out to and bring value to. So a group of them are going to cling on to you eventually. So that's what happened. That's where we're at to this day. And I was a little bit more comfortable leaving because I knew that was the reason why I wanted to leave. I was still carrying out what I went to school for, what I studied, what I love doing, but I was just doing it again under a separate banner, under my name, under my.
That has to be a good feeling.
Yeah. So, and my wife, of course, she supported me through it all. She said, hey, make them, I always remember it every day. She said, make sure that they regret letting you go, right? Like, make sure they feel it every day that they made the wrong choice in letting you go for ultimately following your dreams. So when she said that, I was like, oh, you're right. Like, that was like the last kind of.
Right. So that kind of lit a fuel to the fire. Fuel to the fire a little bit.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah.
So what in your, like, I guess, day to day, because I'm certain, like you said, you're even while you're at work, like you're writing stuff down, things like that. What was like that next level for you once you actually left, and now you're, I don't want to say stranded, but you're kind of like, you're in your own space now where everything is about homemade fitness. What did your day to day look like at that point?
So as far as
just in terms of just your mentalities, like you said, your wife was telling you, make them feel your presence being gone, right? Like things like that. Like, what did you do on a day to day that was in terms of your routine, in terms of whether that was writing more stuff down, whether you were making more phone calls, whatever was needed to be done? Yeah.
So for me, the biggest thing, once I knew I was fully out of my previous job, I knew that this was it, right? I was fully, and I had that mindset even when I was at my previous employer. So I was locked in on the goal to, again, expand my outreach and network and continue on. So once that point hit, it was really just, again, continuing to hone in on my craft, right? Staying up on the latest research, reviewing old material, things like that. People always like to not review old material, like, oh, you studied that already. Why do you keep reading it? I mean, it's just a matter of just refreshing it, prepping for a test, right? So just staying on my P's and Q's. Again, networking, so reaching out to former clientele and also going to other local businesses and saying, hey, this is what I do. I'm new to the area. This is my business. And they say, okay, cool. Turns out I actually have a aunt or a niece or somebody that's looking for training, and it kind of just built from there. So of course, the power of networking and the power of word of mouth referrals. So that's how it started off. That was the big, like the initial influx of clientele, and just kept on building from there.
So you really just kind of put your foot to the ground and said, I'm getting.
Yeah.
What was that? So I guess what was that like in terms of you're running around from business to business? You're telling people, hey, I'm doing this. Like, tell me about, were there any low moments during that process?
Yeah, so I mean, some of the low moments were things like, I'm like, first off, I don't want people, I was big on the pounding the pavement. So I have flyers, I'm walking from door to door, handing things out. So of course there's that moment where you're thinking, man, is this gonna work out, but are people gonna, pick up on this as quickly as I, or as much as I think, they'll pick up on it? Or are they gonna feel as strongly about my business and my passion as I do.
Right.
But I know at the end of the day, you have to be a firm believer in what you're doing, right? You have to feel it first. You have to see it first before everybody else can start to click on it. Like, oh, I like what he's doing. I like what she's doing. So that's what it was for me. And also, of course, the usual, are they just taking those flyers and pitching it in the junk mail? They're tossing it. But at the end of the day, I know it'll be better for myself, not only mentally, but business-wise, to get those flyers out, right? Expand my outreach, because I can't share my value with people if I don't share it with them initially, right? And that starts off with a flyer, and the next it graduates into a face-to-face conversation, and it keeps on developing into a, trainer-to-client relationship and so on. So,
one thing I think that gets overlooked a lot of times, right? Obviously, you have a passion for fitness, right? The business side of it.
Right.
I've heard you mention this a couple times now in your answers. Where did you learn that from? Because I think so many people, they have a passion for something.
Right.
And a lot of times that ends in a business, right? You have entrepreneurs, things like that. But they're very knowledgeable in their passion, right? They know exactly to the T. In your case, fitness. You know workouts, you know the training regimen, the whole nine. Tell me about your process in terms of learning the business side of things.
So I'm very honest. I'm a realist. I say, my pride isn't too big. If I know I need help somewhere, I'm going to seek the best possible help I can find. So I hired 2 business coaches.
Okay.
One actually used to cut my hair in the past, and another one, he lives in Florida. He's based out of Florida. So he was more virtual, and the first business coach was in person. So they gave me the foundation of, hey, this is what business is grounded on, right? These are some things you should be looking to implement, not only to grow your business, right, but also to expand your relationship with people. Because at the end of the day, a lot of people get into business and think, oh, well, I'm the head honcho. I don't have to worry about people. They're going to come to me. It's like, no, your clients are your employer, right? Every single client of yours is your employer. So you have to treat them with that respect, each of them with the same respect, same level of care and passion for what their specific goals are. Because, at face value, I'm a trainer. A lot of people might be, oh, he's just a fitness trainer, but there's really the personal side. Some people will come in and tell you some of the deepest, darkest secrets that they may not even tell, family members and things like that. So I learned that was a big side of things, was the people, understanding the people individually. And then again, from a business standpoint, kind of seeing how the biggest thing was seeing how your relationship with your client and the customer expands into developing your business, right? So they're completely correlated. Right. You treat your clientele bad, your business is going to sink, right? You treat them well, then they're going to feel well about themselves. They're going to feel great, and they're going to say, okay, my friend wants to join in with me, my cousin. And then you see how, right, that continues to expand.
So it's almost like, I'm understanding you say that by investing in yourself through hiring like the business coaches and things like that, in terms of investing in yourself to just seek the help. Let's not make it specific to hiring business coaches. But you invested in yourself. Yes. You focused on the people. And that in turn has led to the success of Homemade Fitness. Yeah. Right? So tell me a little bit more about just your personal development through this entire thing, right? Yeah. Because, obviously it's been a journey. It's been quite a journey. And what are some things that you've learned about yourself through this entire process? Because like you said, this has gone from a conversation in the King of Prussia Mall to now you're in this beautiful gym. This place is amazing. Like, what's that? Like, what have you learned about yourself personally? So definitely learned, first off, the power of belief. That's not personal. Of course, everyone has the ability to, really, really hammer down on the power of belief. But that was the biggest thing for me, self-belief, and then just resilience. That's definitely one of the most important things. Prior to me having my own location, I did all the usuals, right? I worked in different fitness locations, different gyms to expand my experience, not only as a fitness professional, but also as a way to experience different businesses and how they're run, right? Learning what managers and owners you want to take some pieces from and which you don't want to take pieces from, right? So you learn the positive and negative, not only from a relationship standpoint, but also how people carry out business. So that was big. So I started off, working different gyms. Then I partnered with actually someone I used to work with. That partnership didn't work out too well. So then again, I learned a lot of resilience through that experience because there's so many factors you have to consider when you're working with another person and you're dealing with another personality. And then we ended things, fairly mutually and peacefully. And then that's important.
I ended up moving to this new location, which I've been here for a few months now. So
so what has that been like now that? Well, let me back up a little bit. When you're in the process of, you're dealing with you're breaking ties with a former relationship, former business partner, right? And when did you opening your own location become an option?
So actually a few months before or on my way out of the partnership, I was starting to, fish around, look, because I had the initial sense where I was like, I don't want to be in a situation where I don't enjoy, I don't get to fully and maximally enjoy what I love doing every day, right? I don't want the partnership and anything like that to interfere with my joy and my passion, because at the end of the day, I'm a reflection of my business and also how I feel, how I look, I'm going to reflect onto my clients, right? It's going to be hard to hide. Right. So that was the biggest thing for me. And once I was decided on that, about 2 months before I officially left, I was looking for a new space. I was kind of looking for, okay, where can I, plant the next seed? Where can I, expand business, but be in a comfortable position where I'm able to flourish and my clients are able to have a good experience as well.
Gotcha. Now I can imagine when you're trying to open up your own space, because now everything's on you. What were some of the challenges with this in terms of putting this together? Because this is not some small accomplishment.
So being that I was looking for this, I found this location again as I was on my way out. So the landlord of this location, I reached out to him in June, the middle of June of this year, and I said, hey man, I'm looking to go into this space. When is the current tenant, on their way out? He said, hey, they'll be out by the end of July. But what I'm willing to do is I'll abate you on rent on the month of August, right? And any extra time that you get in July, is yours to demo, because there were partition walls, there was office space and things like that before. Right. So I said, okay, sounds great. I got the keys the middle of the last week of July, and it was myself, my wife, and then my in-laws. It was the four of us. We were in here day in, day out, right, in this location. We got the full demolition and renovation, everything done in 43 days.
Wow.
Yeah. So we got everything done that last week of July. So the day I got the keys, we came in, we were ripping up carpet. We got right to it.
Yeah.
August, again, we were in here day in, day out. Got the whole place gutted, remodeled, things like that. And then first week of September, we were rocking and rolling. Yeah.
So when it's all finally together, what feeling was that? What was that like? I mean, you got the support of, like you said, your wife, your in-laws, the whole nine in here day in, day out, 43 days straight.
Yes.
It's done now.
Yeah.
What feeling was that like?
So at first it was like a feeling of, just being shocked, because at first you think, once you see everything done, you're like, there's no way like this was done that quickly. You know what I mean? It all seems like a blur, but when it was done, of course there's that emotional wave that hits, because like I said, it was not the most agreed upon grounds for me leaving. It wasn't the best timing for me to leave the last location, but at the end of the day, I had to put, my happiness and my family's happiness first. So I had to make the next best move for us. So that's, of course, what led me to here.
Right.
But it was definitely a feeling like an emotional overload first.
Yeah.
And then it was just that feeling of satisfaction, like, okay, now I can fully carry out things without having to worry about, what this person's doing, what that person's doing, how it may affect me and things like that.
So now everything's just on you.
Yeah.
Now, has that required you to, I guess, even invest in yourself more now that it's just you?
Yeah.
Right? Like, what's that like in terms of you needing to go to the next level with yourself?
So when it was just me at the previous location, now we were in a situation where we were scratching each other's back. So my partner and I, our former partner and I was doing the personal training and sports performance. He was doing more of the small group boot camp fitness. So our plan was, if parents walk into the gym with their young kids, all right, you train them for sports performance. They take my boot camp class, boom. You know what I mean? We have that hybrid style gym where, we shuttle business to one side, and so on. We go back and forth with each other. And with that, I was like, okay, perfect. I don't have to do as heavy of a marketing push, because we're co-marketing with each other, working hand in hand.
Absolutely.
But now that I'm by myself, I have to get a lot sharper with the social media side of things, the consistency of marketing and posts, and also my wife being a marketing major, she went to school for marketing. So she told me that, she said, hey, I'm willing to help you with flyers and things like that, but these are some things you have to be aware of, because you don't want to flood the timeline. You don't want to overload people's eyes, to an overwhelming extent, but you want to stay in the light. Right. You want people to constantly see you. So then they're like, okay, this guy's consistent. He's constantly putting this and that out. So that's been the toughest obstacle, let's say, but I'm getting better at it. Just a matter of balancing all the different social medias and working through that.
So let me ask you that. How do you get better at that? How are you right now actively putting together your plan to improve on the social media side of things?
So a lot of it is, like I said, going back to writing things down. My personal belief on writing things down is, not only did you take the time to sit down and structure something, but once you do that, now it's like, okay, I have to do this. I have to get it done. I didn't waste my time to sit here and put out a structure of what to do Monday through Friday, Monday through Saturday, to not do it, right? So this is a matter of making Monday a certain style of post and Tuesday a certain style of post, and then keeping up with all the different social medias, right? So you know what I mean?
That's the hardest part, honestly.
But one of the best things is automating the social media. So you can link profiles, right? So linking Instagram to Facebook and things like that. So when you post on one, all of them get that particular piece of content. So just learning through all of that, and then even settings on ad promotions and things like that. And in YouTube, of course, YouTube has a ton of instructional videos. So
absolutely, YouTube is a resource, man.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That just reminded me of my own time, just like scrolling through YouTube. It's hours on end, bro. YouTube is a really great resource. So I want to go back a little bit to just your support system.
Right.
So you have your wife, your sister, encouraging you to write stuff down, your in-laws for actually coming here and putting in the work. Tell me a little bit more about just your overall support system. Who else kind of was an important part in making this happen?
Yeah, so I mean, of course, my parents, they've always, had, fully supported me. I've always had full support from them from the time I was in, of course, a baby in diapers all the way to now, and, moving forward. So when I did this, when I told them about it, they always just said, we trust you, we believe in you, just make sure that you're on your P's and Q's and you're aware of things, right? And I've always been I've always been inquisitive. I'm like, okay, why, right? What's going on? What's the reason for this? And that took me throughout, all my experiences from, through high school, college, right? Academic works, all the way to social experiences and relationships, and even now to business relationships, right? Why am I getting into this business relationship? Does it match with me? Does it match my core values, my ethics? So they supported me. They said, of course, you need anything, reach out, let us know, but we fully trust you to make the right decisions and, operate, ethically and wisely. Right. So
that's a great feeling.
Yeah.
That support from people.
Yeah, and a lot of times I hear a lot of stories, and I'm sure you have too, where people say they don't have the support. People say, oh, that's crazy. You're never going to make it. Some crazy extremes like that. Yeah. And I've never experienced that, right? I've never had that told to me, so I can't fully relate to somebody that has had that told to them. But I can understand how tough that can be, because going out into self-employment and entrepreneurship, making that leap of faith, you don't really know what the next day will bring, right? So you can only plan ahead. Yeah. But at the end of the day, life is unpredictable at times.
Yeah.
So it's good. I'm blessed that I didn't have to hear that, and I didn't have that situation come to the forefront.
Yeah.
Maybe not even publicly. Maybe people were saying it privately, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
But I think even with that though, everyone has their different types of obstacles.
Right.
And I would say even for the people that don't have that support or that have been told directly to their face, well, you can't do blah, 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 whatever, that negative stuff, that's just another obstacle to overcome.
Right.
That's not, just because it's a different type of obstacle, because each of us as dreamers, we're going to encounter some sort of obstacle, whether we like it or not. Like you said, as entrepreneurs, bro, you don't know what tomorrow's going to look like.
Exactly.
And, it's just a matter of kind of what, like you said, just your willingness to put your foot down to the ground and get to work.
Exactly.
And work through it and not, just bow down to the obstacle. Because, like you said, there's a lot of negativity out there. And you're right. More than likely, there are probably people saying, like, why is Aaron doing that? Like, that makes no sense, blah, blah, blah. But here you are.
Right. And I've actually heard, one example I give you, I've heard people, a little bit older than me, or a few years older than me, definitely considerable amount older than me, actually. So all ranges, I'm only 26. So from, people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond, they said, oh, man, you're young and you had this partnership before and you worked with this person. I'm like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think age is just a number in respect to, from a business standpoint, because as long as, like I said, your intentions are pure, you're moving well and ethically, then people are going to want to attract to that, right?
Absolutely.
I heard, and on the contrary, I heard one podcast I listened to, the guy said that light attracts bugs, right? So he said if you're doing things well, of course, people are going to attract to you, the good people, let's say, but also people that aren't so good for you, they're the bugs, right? They're going to ones zipping in and out of the light, but at the end of the day, they'll eventually join in on the group that's like, okay, I can't not support what he's doing or what she's doing, because they're moving well, they're doing their thing, and they're obviously doing something properly for people to be, noticing them and wanting to stay with them. So.
Absolutely, because like clearly something's working.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And so even with that, right? So I like that too. Light attracts bugs.
Yeah, I love that.
That's really good. When you are now experiencing this level of success,
right.
And I'm certain that you're going to experience way more success than this, and the bugs come.
Yeah.
In your mind, how do you prevent that? How do you prevent? Like, you can't prevent the bugs from coming, but how do you prevent just people with negative thoughts, people with negative intentions and things like that? Like, how do you build the self-awareness to kind of protect your space?
Right.
Because it's important.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you do that in your mind?
So I think at the end of the day, it's just staying true to, like I said, it always comes down to values in your pursuit, right? What your main goal is. Now, if I were to, be in this for, trying to drive the nicest, biggest car, living in the biggest house, then I'll be in a constant pursuit of, just a small part of what business is, right? The profit, the income to keep lights open and continue to push your brand. But I just stay true to, like I said, okay, how can I be the best possible fitness coach I can be? How can I learn the most material that's available, as quickly as possible, as well as possible? So when I stay rooted in those things, stay rooted professionally versus materialistically, right? Then, I think that's what continues to keep the negative out. And that's what's been working for me so far. And I think a lot of it comes down to, of course, my upbringing. My parents never, they always, instilled in me the values of understanding people, right? Mm-hmm. Bringing value to people, caring for people. And then also, they were never flashy, right? They never were throwing around money and going extravagantly and living that way. So I think me seeing that and me adopting that lifestyle is, I don't want to say a minimalist, but just being more aware of the bigger things in life, right? Because of course I have everything I need, right? I have a business. I get to live my dream every day, right? I have a family. I have a wife. I have a kid, right? I have a car that drives. It works, right? I have my health. So there's so many good things going on where I'd be crazy to keep on, trying to look for the next thing. Okay, well, I want a nicer car. I want a nicer, gym. It just gets overbearing. It gets overwhelming with everything else that has to be, worried about and taken into account. So
that's very true. I think with that, you kind of said it. Subconsciously, is that it's a perspective shift.
Right.
It's a complete perspective shift, because it's so easy to get wrapped up in, I want the big house, I want the nice car, and everything like that. And so you're saying that you kind of got your perspective shifted through just your upbringing with your parents. Yes. Mm-hmm. Tell me about, were there any other influences that kind of helped you shift your perspective on things? Because, I'm certain it's easy where, okay, you get your upbringing is, well, I'm, minimalistic, don't need much. I see the real value in life, things like that.
Right.
But I'm certain there are moments where you're like, I kind of like, I need this business to work. Like, I need a bigger gym. Like, what were other influences in your life that helped you kind of really establish those values and establish that perspective shift?
Right. So outside of family, of course, there's, I have close friends that I consider family, but I mean, my friends, my friend circle, they've been in support. I have a lot of other friends that are on the same type of mission where they're looking to build their own brand and their own lifestyle and to continue to expand, on their terms. So they've been in full support. They see it. They know what it takes, of course, because they're doing it on a daily basis. Right. I've had friends who, a lot of people may say, would have taken, larger leaps than I have, right? I stayed locally, right? I have friends that started in Pennsylvania area and now they're on the, on the West Coast. They're on the other side of the world, things like that. One friend I have in particular, he lives out in California now. He was doing NBA skills training and now he's looking to play, professional basketball. So, in my eyes, I'm like, that's a huge leap. You know what I mean? That's a huge leap compared to me. I'm staying, not taking anything away from, anyone that stays locally, but me, I'm like, okay, I'm, boots down in Pennsylvania, still doing my thing. Right. And he's like, I'm going to take this risk and jump on the other side, of the compass and try to make this happen. So again, that's just one example, but just having that overall support from my friend circle is just, it's what matters, because these are guys I've grown with, I've grown together with, played sports, played basketball with in college, and to have that tight relationship with them to this day, has been tremendous. Yeah. And,
I'm sorry with that. I'm sorry to cut you.
No,
I'm sorry with that type of environment, with that type of solar system of people around you, that has to make even you taking your own risks a lot easier.
Right.
Because you're seeing it every day.
Right. And I was gonna say it's a situation of, as people, we need other people, right? We need that community. So for me, not to say I needed to know other people were doing this for me to fully feel comfortable going off on my own, but seeing other guys doing it that I relate to, on an everyday level, I talk to these guys every day, it makes me a little bit more comfortable knowing, okay, I'm a normal guy just like them. They're doing their thing, they're trying to make things happen, and we're just working hard and just persevering to, continue, moving forward, building.
That's really dope. I want to continue with the support piece.
Yeah.
In terms of your support, well, I want to combine just your routine plus your support. Is there anyone or any influence you had that you might not know personally?
Right.
Like, for example, for me, like Kobe Bryant was a person I unfortunately never got the chance to meet him.
Right.
But Mamba mentality, like that was a huge influence for me.
Yeah.
Do you have anybody like that for you that you've kind of seen from afar and you're like, okay, that person motivates me, that person encourages me, whatever?
Yeah, I mean, this has been quite a few. I've been a fan. My brother actually introduced me to this artist. Rest in peace, but to Nipsey Hussle. The marathon continues. Yep. How he just, to me that means just take it day by day. Don't look for the next, big boom in the next month or next week, right? Look at things from a long-term perspective, right? And that's where investment comes in. Investment in the long term versus gambling in the short term, right? So Nipsey Hussle for sure. Everybody knows this guy, David Goggins. Really intense.
Bro.
Really intense. Again, maybe not a lot of people's taste, but for me, I understand, that mindset, and it definitely opened me to a new style of just thinking about things. So David Goggins as well. Of course, Kobe Bryant, right? I mean, everybody in the world can relate to Kobe Bryant in some way, shape, or form. So that's been huge. And I'm also a big combat sports fan. So, just seeing a lot of guys, that have risen across the years from the start of their career to now. Guys like, let's say Dustin Poirier, Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather, guys who, again, just built from just being in the trenches and just working hard every day from being young all the way to, expanding to what they are now and who they are now. So, and then more specifically, the guys that maintain their values and their character throughout.
I think that's a very important part too. It's one thing to get there. It's another thing to get there, stay there, and stay who you are while you're at the top as well. That's very real.
Absolutely.
So tell me a little bit more about your routine today, right? So you've accomplished the major accomplishment of opening your own gym. Like you said, the conversation started in a mall. You started writing things down. Are you still writing things down now? Like, what is your day-to-day on a personal development side for yourself?
So yeah, I'm still writing things down just because it's what I'm used to now. It's ingrained in me. So me writing things down, because of course what I've done in the past, it shows me that there's value in me. I'm not wasting time. I'm not doing this, blindly. So me writing things down allows me to know, okay, what's the next goal, right? Whether that be personal or business-wise that I have in mind, and then what steps I'm going to take to, get into it. And of course, like I said, through proof and reality of things, it's been working, right? It went from working at all these different gyms to starting off on my own. I actually left this part out earlier in the interview where I was starting off with just an equipment wagon, a few kettlebells, a few dumbbells, some yoga mats, rolling it around local parks, right? And like I said, doing that, pounding the pavement, talking to people.
Man, that's you
know,
to it.
Right. So, and like I said, this is fresh out of being released from my job, my former employer, and then another piece. My wife and I, our initial wedding date was May of 2020. So
okay, so I'm assuming the pandemic pushed that back.
It did. It did. So we ended up getting married August 8th. But what happened was, in my mind, I'm like, the wheels can't stop turning. Vendor fees, things like that come with weddings. So all those things were in my mind. So the minute I got that, or the minute it was confirmed that I was no longer employed, I was like, okay, now on to the homemade fitness, 100%, 110%. So I got right into it again, got that wagon, got that equipment, and got things, continued rolling with things to, again, partnership with businesses, right? Different things like that. And now on my own. So me having that all written down and being able to turn back to my book of life, I call it, and, see those things manifest and come true. I was like, okay, there's value in this. Like, this is not being done in vain, and I continue to do that.
So tell me a little bit. So obviously, you said there's proof of concept in what you're doing,
right?
And you've proven proof of concept through homemade fitness,
right?
How is that? How have you taken the lessons and just the routines and the mindsets, the belief systems that you have into other areas of your life?
Yeah. So, well, I don't say believe it or not, but from me doing these things, writing these things down from personal and business perspective, I also can take it into my relationship with my wife, with my family, my friends, and write things down. Like, okay, I know that before I used to just be a mental planner. Like I was like, okay, this day I have this thing at this time, right? But I knew that would get cluttered, right? And eventually, started to slip my mind, and I would have things come up, and I'm like, oh man, I forgot I had this event in place. So me writing that down, right? Even obeying a schedule on a planner allows me to set aside time for personal things I like to do, right? Me working out, me now having to, of course, spend time with my newborn son, and of course, still.
Congratulations.
Thank you, appreciate it. And then also spending time, right, with my wife, from a husband to wife relationship as well, and then family and friends, outside of that. So me being able to write that down versus in the past, I would have said, okay, I have this interview with. I have this interview at, I think at this time, right? Now I know, I look at my book, I look at my planner, okay, I have it set aside this time for our meeting, our sit down.
So it's a discipline.
So
it's just become a real discipline.
Absolutely. That ultimately makes my life easier, right?
It
like
does.
I don't have to freak out or, like I said, try to recollect thoughts. I can just say I have it written down in pen or pencil. I can go to that day, that time, and I know everything I have in place.
Right. And it sounds like, for one, it's a whole trickle effect.
Yeah.
From, like, obviously you start writing things down and you see proof of concept with this, and it's a trickle effect, like you said, in your marriage, with your newborn son, with, just everything in your life. Yeah. And even with, because I'm similar. Like, I like routine. I like everything the same. I need to know what's what, when, where, why. Even with that, right, the unexpected of you basically being hit with that ultimatum, it sounds like you still are even good at, adjusting if need be.
Yeah.
Right? Because I remember early on, I would get very frustrated if things didn't go as planned.
Yeah.
Like if I'm like, oh, this is at 9, like why is it 9:45? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it's like you still even have the grace or the ability to be versatile and say, like, okay, let me figure it out. I can move this there and everything like that. And I think that's just the management. That sounds like it was a skill.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, also, it's essentially a skill that I have to keep on mastering and continue to, because like I said, now I have an additional, like I said, layer in my life with having a child now. So I'm like, okay, how do I keep all these other things in line with now implementing him into the picture, right? So just having a situation where nobody left behind, nothing left out. Yeah. And like I said, it will just continue to make me, better in scheduling and making sure that I accommodate all my appointments. So
that's important. It sounds like it's not pressure to you. Like, I think to most people, like that type of stuff, like when you talk about, even opening a business with a relationship, newborn kid, the whole nine, some people can view that as pressure and as opposed to just, okay, let's put it all together. Like it's a responsibility as opposed to a piece of pressure.
Yes.
Because I think it stimulates a different emotional response when you talk about pressure.
And at the root of it, Trey, at the end of the day, it's all, like I said, it comes down to having a plan, right? So if, like I said, if you go into something blindly, right? If your coach says, hey, this is going to be the play that we run on the inbounds, right? And you're just, lollygagging and looking side to side. And you're like, wait, what was that, coach? And you go out there, you're like, I think this is the play. You know what I mean?
Right.
Whereas if you're sitting there, you're zoned in, you're locked in, you're like, okay, I got to go here, set this screen, whatever the case may be. Now, again, everything's a lot more set in stone. You know exactly where you have to be, what you have to do. And it's the same thing with, not only planning for business, but for anything, right? So I know that if I have an appointment at 8 o'clock, okay, my alarm's going off at 5, right? I know I got to get myself ready. right? I got to help my wife, with the baby in the morning. I got to make sure, I get my breakfast. All those things have to factor in before I get to the gym. Travel time, all those things set up for my appointment on 8. Because I don't want to, and I've seen it before, right? And this is no knock on other trainers or other professionals, but they'll kind of just hang things, to the last minute. They race into the gym or into work, 5-10 minutes late, trying to play catch up. And like I said, it's convenience for you. It makes things a lot harder for you. And your mind's racing the whole day because now you're just playing catch up with the rest of your schedule.
Yeah,
so
that's a fact.
it's just, it's so much more worth it to just write your plan down, right? Have it set up and just operate off that.
Wow.
Always have a plan.
You've truly built a very impressive, disciplined lifestyle for yourself.
And like I said, I wasn't always this well planned, right? Or as well planned as I am now. In the past, like I said, I'll wing it. We all kind of just wing things. We all have those situations, but now I just noticed, like I said, time. I don't want to continue to waste any time or waste other people's time. So I know I have to, if I have an appointment, boom, I'm gonna have to set up. Okay, I'll be here at this time for sure, right? You could depend on it unless I'm sick or have to be somewhere else.
Yeah.
So
wow. So and even with that, right, you are enjoying it on an exponential level because you're in complete control of your time. Mm-hmm. You're doing something that you love to do. Right. You're helping people. You're operating within your purpose. Yeah. And that's amazing, bro. Like honestly, wow.
That's the best part about it. I mean, it's the freedom of choice, and it's the being able to enjoy what you do on a daily basis and not have to, like I said, worry about external factors, right? Like the only external factors, like I said, you have to worry about are the bugs, right? That may be talking, but like I said, at the end of the day, so many other things trump that it's such a small part in your mind that some days it's not even in your mind. You're like, okay, what's the next thing to do? And that's another thing that planning does too. It keeps you on set with your objectives instead of worrying about, okay, well, what if this person's saying this, or what if this person looks at this video or this post this way? Like just put your stuff out there. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, the right people are gonna merge and connect to you.
That's awesome. Well, look, the last question I have for you. This is awesome, man. So at Craft Your Dream, we have 3 core values. Clear vision, 100% effort, and consistency. And we believe this to be a strategy to help any dreamer accomplish their dream or goal. What are Aaron's 3 core values? You've said this a lot in terms of just your core values, your principles, 3 of them that have made you and brought you to where you are now.
All right, well, the one big one, again, is planning, right? Discipline, and staying true to self. Staying true to yourself, again, your passion, your heart, following that, and continue to do so, again, every step of the way, no matter how high of the high you get and how low of lows you get, you just always stay based in those 3 values that I just mentioned. And
let's do it. Hey, y'all heard that. You heard it. Planning, discipline, and staying true to yourself. That's how he did it. But that's really awesome, bro. Thank you for real.
Appreciate you, Trey. Thank you.
Guys, that's a wrap on the season 2 of Dreamer Talks. We appreciate you for watching this season. Check out our website, craftyourdream.org. You can check out Aaron and the work that he's doing here at Homemade Fitness. Some of that information will be below in the description. But once again, thank you so much for checking out this season. We appreciate you. Subscribe to the channel. Check out our website, attend some of our events, and we look forward to seeing you. We look forward to helping you, and know that your dream is possible as long as you're willing to work for it. Season 2 is a wrap. We out.
Love for my. It's another year, I see free.